Hi Leo, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your January 2022 Mercury Retrograde reading for you. Now I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. So let's see what the tarot has to say. How will Leo be affected by the January 2022 Mercury Retrograde? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Ooh, these two right here. Guide this reading and show me clearly, angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. At the bottom is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. We have Judgment, and we have the Sun, which is absolutely beautiful, Leo. We then have Temperance, which is Sagittarius energy. And we have the World, which is very strong. We're finding balance as we enter into the world. We have the Ace of Cups, which is healing. And we have the Ace of Pentacles, so gifts come in at our heart. It's a very positive Mercury retrograde. We have the Mother Star, which is star energy, which is Aquarius energy coming forward. And we have the Fool. So if we have Sagittarius or Aquarius within our natal charts, those come through very powerfully. One, Sagittarius comes through very powerfully in our inner self. Aquarius energy comes through very powerfully in the public arena. So just be aware of this. Now let's look at the energy we need to be mindful of during this time. Angels and spirit guides. This is the Chariot. This is Cancer energy. If we're born on the cusp with Cancer, we have to be very mindful of that part of our personality really taking over during this time, and just things kind of running amok emotionally. We're going to be very drawn to people who don't necessarily have things together emotionally the way that they should, the way that we would want them to. And we're also going to have this disconnect between our subconscious and our conscious if we're not ready, if we are not aware of this, okay? It can become much more powerful than it needs to be. Now let's look at our chakra energy. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. This is flexibility. This is the sacral chakra. And in our sacral chakra, we hold our creativity, we hold our sensuality, but we also hold a lot of the chaos, the hurt, the pain from this life and from past lives that really does not let us embrace the full potential of who we can be. So when we're embracing flexibility within ourselves, within what we desire from our lives, within the way that we're moving forward for us, that's going to be very important here. A sense of letting our bodies connect, letting ourselves move, letting ourselves gain understanding, being flexible with the ideas that come in, not being so rigid with ourselves or the way that we think that we're supposed to be seeing things. That's going to be very important. Our sacral chakra is saying, let more than what we're used to in. Let ourselves, connect in a way that is deeper, a way that is more powerful. Now, let's start talking astrologically about this Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrograde is on the 14th of January. Now, from the 29th of December to the 14th of January, we've been going through this pre-shadow period. And what the pre-shadow period has done is it's given us this conflicting energy. Now, we're going to feel this more in the public arena because we do have the strong Aquarius energy here. And we have the Aquarius energy coming in the pre-shadow period. We also have the Capricorn energy coming in because we're in Capricorn during this time. And Saturn is in Aquarius. And Saturn and Aquarius, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. Aquarius loves freedom, loves expression, loves deeper ideas. Saturn loves order and rules. And so what energy compiles from this is that if I just make everything balanced, if I just have all the rules and all the understanding and everything down pat, then I'll be able to move forward the way that I want to. Now, some of us are going to just jump on this, kind of like white on rice and be like, yes, this is exactly it. So we're going to make these rules and try to live by it this way. Others of us are going to rebel from this and be like, okay, I know I have to do this. I know it has to be that way. And we're actually going to see ourselves pulling away from it. So it depends on our personality. It depends on where we are in our life journey right now, the way that we are, tackling these problems. So we're just going to have to be very aware of this because this is the energy that we bring forward into the Mercury retrograde, which is on the 14th of January to the 4th of February. We have Mercury retrograde. And here we have the card of Mercury coming forward. It says think, learn, network, and communicate, which is going to be so important and is always so important for us when Mercury comes in. And why Mercury retrograde has become, this thing that we have to be mindful of, or is this thing that we need to be mindful of, is because, we're all about our words. We're all about communication. We're all about travel and insight and ideas and thinking and networking. And so here it throws a fly in the ointment. And so we just have to be aware of this and ready for it. Now, Mercury is going to be in Aquarius, and this is a positive energy place for Mercury to be in. We need to be able to express ourselves through words, through language, through ideas, through concepts. And, we might be confused with the idea of words and language because we might think, okay, they're the same thing, but they're going to be different. We're going to be really drawn to languages, to other languages, to even, listening to things or, maybe even trying to learn another language to open up communication. Words are going to be important to us, and we're going to find that some of the arguments that we get into are just we're using different words to define the same thing. So be mindful of this. Whatever has us moving towards thinking out of the box, moving towards being out of the box is going to be very important. Even though Mercury is comfortable in Aquarius, when Mercury is in retrograde, we can find that the breakdown of communication all the more frustrated. We can find that we're not moving forward the way that we want to, and we become very frustrated. We become very overwhelmed. If we're already sensitive to Mercury, if we have a lot of Gemini or Virgo energy within our natal chart that's ruled by Mercury, we can find that to be very frustrating because that part of our personality just seems to only get so far and then falls into frustration, falls into anger, falls into, this sense of, I'm just not doing it the right way. So do be mindful of this. But we're also in fields where communication is very important to us, where we have to communicate or work with or share ideas with others. We can find ourselves just being frustrated, and we've been frustrated since the 29th of December. It's kind of like that sense of, if I can't do it perfectly, why the heck would I do it at all? And that's going to be something that we need to recognize within our personality during this time. We have Jupiter and we have Neptune in Pisces. Now, Jupiter and Neptune were in Pisces before, so from the 29th to the 14th. And this really does give beautiful energy because Jupiter has us being friendly and caring and nurturing. So we're bringing that energy forward into Mercury retrograde. Now, Neptune rules Pisces, and Neptune is also known as the Lord of the Invisible Kingdom. The Invisible Kingdom is our dreams, our heart, our expressions, our, the essence of ourself and the way that we want to move forward in our lives, what we cannot physically lay down bricks for. And so Mercury being in retrograde when we're trying to embrace our dreams and what we desire is going to be frustrating for us. So just be mindful of that. Venus is going to be in Capricorn. Now, if we have strong Taurus or Libra energy within our natal chart, Venus is ruled by Taurus, and Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So Venus in Capricorn makes it very hard for us to express our feelings, which really doesn't help us during Mercury retrograde. We will find that we become rather secretive, we become rather withdrawn because we feel anxious, we feel sad, we feel overwhelmed, like something will trigger us and I'll just be like, I can't express my emotions the same way. I can't connect the way that I want to, so why would I even bother? Be mindful of this. It can take over. Mercury is going to be trine the moon. We will have good memories, a peaceful soul, and good communication skills with Mercury trine the moon. But because Mercury is in retrograde, it will feel like we get so far and then everything falls apart. We need to be mindful. We need to be mindful of the way that we deal with these things, the way that we're connecting, what we want, and really step back when we find ourselves being frustrated, because we're going to find that we can just, let that frustration snowball, let that frustration become the overwhelming power within our lives. And if we know people who are ruled by Mercury, who are Geminis, who are Virgos, we might find them to be a little bit hard to be around during this time. And that's something to be mindful of, just to be mindful that their planet is in retrograde. They feel like they're going topsy-turvy. So be aware of this. Mercury is conjunct Saturn. Now Saturn, here with Mercury conjunct Saturn, we will find ourselves distrusting our own abilities and our own imaginations. And we will want to, become very practical about everything. Again, we're going to want to lay out this foundation that says, okay, it has to be like this. It has to be like that. And Spirit's saying, no, let things develop. Be more flexible with ourselves, because it's going to be that we go to a rigidity. And it's like, no, be flexible. Don't let rules get in the way of ideas and imagination. Mercury is going to be squared Uranus. Now, this makes everybody astoundingly opinionated. And this is very frustrating, right? So Uranus rules Aquarius. Aquarius comes through in the public arena. We're going to come forward as being very opinionated during this time, Leo. So do be mindful of this. We're already opinionated people to begin with. So, excuse me. So when we add this Mercury squared Uranus, that just amplifies things. So everybody comes off as opinionated. Everybody is talking, but nobody is listening. This brings a tremendous amount of frustration, because there is such a strong sense of I'm right, you're wrong, that people are automatically put on the defensive, automatically in attack mode, which is what nobody wants. And so this can make us tremendously introverted. The problem is out of our ability and, out of our scope of understanding, or we just kind of want to fix it all and yet we shrink away from it. So just be mindful of this. The 4th of February to the 24th of February, we have the post-shadow period. So this is us healing from the Mercury retrograde. This is us kind of like coming down from that high. And the sun is going to be sextile Mercury. So this brings peace and intelligence. We just have to step out of our own egos, which can be something that's rather challenging to do. Stepping out of our egos and into where we need to be for ourselves, letting ourselves calm down. Mercury is going to be sextile Neptune. We have an amazing imagination, and we can find it hard to bring these ideas to life, to connect, to really understand. Stop aiming for perfection and just see what happens. Mercury is going to be conjunct Pluto. Now, this alignment brings chaotic thinking because the subconscious and the conscious thinking process are intertwined. So we have this sense of we can already have our subconscious and our conscious be very kind of separate houses during this time. And what we're going to find is that as we're pushing forward towards things, everything is getting intertwined. Now everything is kind of weaving together. And so we're going to find it hard to have people understand. There's so much more that we are saying than people are understanding. And so it can be really frustrating. And we're going to think, okay, if I can just explain it, if I can just, speak it through slowly and calmly and, everything, then you'll see. But the frustrating thing is that people won't. It's going to be just that. It's going to be like ships passing in the night. So just remember that. The MC is squared Mercury. Now this makes us intelligent and business savvy and likable, but we are also going to be relentless in our pursuits and easily distracted. We're going to be like a dog with a bone. It's going to become our obsession, and then we're also going to get distracted from things, and so we're going to be obsessed and distracted, and it's going to be a little bit of a mess. So just be aware there. Mercury is going to be trying the North Lunar Node. Now, we are very curious about ourselves and about others, and we want to dive deep into things. We need to be open-minded, and this also lets us be open-minded. We will be aware of what we want and where it is that we want to be. Criticism won't really bother us that much, but we need to not get too involved. There's going to be a part of us that gets too involved in the hows and the how comes and stories that don't need us to be a part of them. So just be aware of that. Judgment is coming through at our root. We're answering a higher call, and we're going to be answering a higher call during this whole entire Mercury retrograde. That's also why we're going to be so frustrated with things, because it's going to be, I need to move here. I need to do this. There's going to be a way that we're being kind of pulled forward that is just extraordinary. And now we need to see it. We need to understand it. We need to embrace ourselves and what we desire and listen to us kind of coming out of this box, coming out of this way of conformity to the world around us, to what we thought we should be, how we thought we should act, what people had said, this is the path for you. And now we're starting to see, where do I need to be? What do I desire for myself? How do I walk forward? How do I speak the truth and get to embrace who I am? And it brings us to the sun. There's a radiance to us, and there's a beauty to our heart, which is really quite extraordinary. And the sun comes in, and it's just a radiant brilliance. It is a sense of, I am shining in my light. This is the happiest card in the whole entire tarot deck. And there's a sense here of, I get to be brilliance. I get to be power. I get to connect with the joy and the inclination and understanding of myself and what I desire for my life and how I am moving forward for me. Temperance comes in, and we need balance. We're going to need balance during this time. The masculine and the feminine aspects of ourselves, the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine aspects of creation and desire and the way that we're moving forward. There's going to be a sense here of feeling scattered at times. And as we feel scattered, we're going to need to really pull ourselves in. And what's interesting, Leo, is that our sister energy is Aquarius. So when Mercury is in Aquarius, it's testing us, because sister energy, if you have a sister, you know that this can be the best energy in the whole entire world, the person who builds you up and is just wonderful. And this could be the person who can hurt you in a way that nobody else can. So be aware of that as we have the balance coming forward, as we have this sister energy in the public arena of us, that there is this huge sense of, how am I moving forward? What is it that I desire? Where is it that I want to be? And it really is quite literally opening up the world for us. There's something that's going to happen that's like, oh, I need to see that. Or like, oh, I need to pay more attention that way. Or, oh, I didn't think that would be the outcome. Or I didn't think that would happen. And as the world opens, we're finding the place that we stand. We're reevaluating our thoughts, our dreams, or what it is that we desired. I'm just thinking of that old, what is it, Bob Hope's song, Thanks for the Memories. And there's this one line in it where he says, how are all those silly dreams that never did come true? And there's something beautiful about that. And there's something also hurtful about that, right? To call somebody else's dreams silly, but some of our dreams when we were little, when we were growing, when we were developing, and when we were, planning out our lives, they were silly. They were silly dreams. And so as we step into the world, it's like, what did I look at that was silly? What did I look at that didn't have the knowledge that I have now? And how am I stepping into the world the way that I need to, the way that is right for me? And we're going to be looking at things quite differently. And it's going to be very powerful. It can also be very, very overwhelming. This sense of, how do I step into this world as I find my balance? It is so different than the way I thought it was going to be when I was little, when I was a teenager, when I was even in my 20s or 30s. We're always going and developing and changing and becoming so much more. And there's just, 30s, 40s, 50s. It can go on and on. It brings us to the Ace of Cups. It brings us to this healing and to this love that comes in. The Mercury retrograde is really connecting with an abstract and a concrete. So the abstraction is the energy of the heart, right? The emotions that we bring forward, the cleansing of tears, the power of what we desire, the sense of, I'm opening up the door and I'm starting to see me again. I'm starting to, understand me. I'm starting to look at my heart and what I desire. There's gifts that are coming in, and it's at our heart line. It's where we're connecting with our heart during this time. And there is going to be the sensitivity to us, Leo, that we have to embrace, that we have to come to an understanding of. And as we're looking at this sensitivity, as we're looking at ourselves, we need to heal. We need to release. We need to, rejuvenate. We need to embody ourselves and our lives and what we want. But we also need to look at the hurts and the pains and the disappointments that we're holding on to, that we repeat within our lives over and over again. The stories that we tell that are the same stories, the same hurts, the same pains that have just become such an ingrained part of us. And now we're starting to release. And it's so great for the new year. And it brings us to the Ace of Pentacles. It brings us to prosperity and to success. It brings us to walking through a gateway. And as we're walking through this gateway, we're entering into a new chapter. And God's Source Spirit, however, again, we see the divine, the universe, is handing us this gift of new seeds to plant, of new passions to move forward in, of a deeper way to connect with ourselves and understand ourselves and see what it is that we desire. And it moves us to the star. And here it says the mother star. It says the answer, because I guess this is also like to answer a question, right? It says yes. It's like, do I move forward? Yes. Yes, I do. Do I look at my dreams and connect with my dreams? Yes. Yes, I do. Do I see something greater and something bigger and something more that is me? Yes. Yes, I do. And there's power here, and there's brilliance here, and there's purpose here. This is when divinity sees not what we cross our fingers for and say, oh, I hope I get the new, whatever. This is what divinity sees deep inside our souls, deep inside our hearts, deep inside ourselves. We say, I long for XYZ. I long to move myself forward. I long for something more than this. And it brings us to the Fool. It brings us to walking a new path. It brings us to new opportunities, to new ideas, to new passions and, purposes forward. It also brings us to having the courage to say, I can, kind of walk off that cliff and spread my wings. Will I fall? Absolutely. There will be times where we fall, where we stumble, where we push ourselves too far and we're just absolutely exhausted, where we have to see ourselves and be open and honest with ourselves. But we always rise and we always keep on going. And remember, the most powerful thing about the Fool is that we're being told that whatever journey we are on, everybody who made a difference in the world, everybody who was the hero of their story was first a fool, was first left at. We look at the hero stories of the past. We even look at the stories that we have now that inspire us. It's always the underdog, or it's always the person who says, I'm going to go do something, tremendous. And everybody laughs at them and says, oh yeah, sure, of course you are. The entrepreneur, the artist, the whomever that says, I'm going to do this. And people say, oh yeah, sure you are. It's even that person who wants to have a child and who, maybe isn't in a relationship or, can't get pregnant or whatever the thing is. And it's like they wind up manifesting it. They wind up maybe going through different ways to be able to have what it is that they deeply want. And people say, oh yeah, sure. They laughed and said, oh yeah, sure. Like you were ever going to do this. And so here, it's being able to be that hero. And we always think of the heroes in the big kind of like, quest-seeking, holy grail type of way, which we have the holy grail right here at our heart. It's saying the blessing is coming in. We have us holding it in our hands with the star, and balancing its blessing here with temperance. And it's just saying here, the quest that we are on does not have to be a King Arthur-esque quest. It's the happiness of our soul. It's the peace of ourselves. It is the beauty that gets to be a part of our lives and what we want and what we're developing for us. And it moves us to our subconscious energy to be mindful of. And that is the King of Wands. It is letting our passion, it is letting, our tempers get the best of us. It's standing in our own way. We can be our worst enemy during this time, so do be mindful of this. We can also be very attracted to people who are seemingly very powerful, but not very kind. So just be mindful that the King of Wands in his negative form is only worried about the King of Wands. And that is the only person who matters. So just be mindful of this. It moves us to our subconscious chakra energy and its family. It's the root chakra. It's connecting with those who ground us, whether it be our family, that we were born into or raised by, whether it be, the family that we have created around us. There's a sense of rooting. There's a sense of understanding. There's a sense of connection here that we need. We can even be very interested in ancestry or even in, our past lives, seeing how we ourselves have developed. It moves us to our subconscious rooted energy, and it's the High Priestess. The veil is being lifted from our eyes. We're seeing things so much more clearly. And as we're seeing things so much more clearly, we're not falling into the same traps, the same hurts, the same pains. It brings us to our subconscious, inner self. And that is the Two of Cups. That's unity. That's coming together. There's a real sense here of the subconscious and conscious coming together, even though that's going to be a little bit of a battle for us. And we see that with, in the post-shadow period when Mercury conjunct Pluto, the shadow side, the subconscious and the conscious intertwine and things become confusing. We're not able to express ourselves the way that we once were. It's not like we understand both. It's that we're kind of colliding with each other and it becomes overwhelming. So here with the Two of Cups, there's a sense of I'm listening to my heart. I'm listening to myself. I'm connecting. I'm embracing. I'm loving. I'm understanding. And it brings us to our subconscious emotional message, which is the moon, which is Pisces energy. And it's saying, spread your wings and fly. It's saying here, look at the fears. Look at the shadows that have held us back. Look at the monsters that we've believed, the things that we have thought that we could never do. And let us not say, I am defined by this fear. This hurt is what I am. Let us set ourselves free and say, no, I am not the fear anymore. I am the power. I am the wisdom. I am so much more. And it moves us. And that's easy to say, I am not my fear anymore. But if we make ourselves face something that we are afraid of, let's just start, with something that's rather physical. The Wim Hof method, right, is cold showers, embracing the cold. And he says that he just takes a cold shower, which is ridiculous to me. But he said that you can end your showers with a cold shower, right? And so you can take your nice hot shower, which is what I do. And then at the end, you turn off the hot water and you let the cold water hit you. I have to tell you, sometimes getting out of bed is terrifying because I know I'm going to have, no, not terrifying, I'm exaggerating, but is dreadful because I don't want to be hit by that cold water. And yet when I do it, when I let out that scream and I'm like, and totally in the moment, it becomes one of the most powerful things I do all day because I had to face something that I'm afraid of. And it's made me face my fear of the cold because I had a fear of the cold. The cold used to get into my bones and used to just sit there. And I used to think, oh my God, this is terrible. And I live in a cold climate. So it wasn't like, you could just ignore it and it would go away. But here, when we face our fears, and we can do it physically like that, and it also makes us face our fears, if we know that we can do it in a physical way, that we can do it in a way that says, this was holding me back, but I'm not going to be held back anymore. There's so much more to me than even I realized. That becomes powerful. And if we can do it in little tiny bites, little tiny ways forward, then that becomes extraordinary. And it moves us to our subconscious, public arena self. And that's the Hangman. We don't see things the same way as everybody else. And we don't have to see things the same way as everybody else. This is also the incorporation into wisdom, right? When Odin was turned upside down, hung upside down from the tree of knowledge, and had to have his one eye plucked out to be able to truly see. This is going to be us. It's like we're going through this time of not fitting in, of not seeing things the same way as everybody else, of feeling like we're sacrificing something for the sight that we gain, for the insight that comes. And so it's not a comfortable thing at all. It can also just be uncomfortable because we might not fit in with everybody else, or, be having the same kind of ideas as everybody else. So it might make us feel like an outsider. And us as human beings, we like to feel connected. We like to feel part of something more. And so here, it's understanding subconsciously the discomfort, and then the power, the wisdom, the insight that comes as we, as we see things more truly and openly and honestly. Not hurtfully, not hatefully, not angrily, because there's enough of that in this world. But that when we start to see and we start to look and we start to say, there is more here than meets the eye, we start to see blessings around us. We start to see healing around us. We start to see beauty coming in. And that's really life-changing. All right, Leo. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the power and the intensity of this Mercury retrograde. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Leo. And may you have a blessed Mercury retrograde.